when he will sign is another question. The Indianapolis Colts are now on the clock. Now, they have two very high first-round picks, the number 2 pick right now and the number 7 pick overall. Marshall Faulk, who is here in New York and maybe getting a phone call from the Colts right now, he's been the expected pick. However, Heath Schuler, Trent Dilfer, quarterbacks, and remember the Colts traded Jeff George. They have Harbaugh now, but the question is, do they need a quarterback now, a youngster, or do they go with a running back that looks so good like Marshall Faulk? And, of course, they haven't had a running game since Allen Amici, Joe.
You absolutely named it. I think that's the thing you really have to take into consideration. If you bring a young quarterback in, is he going to have any kind of support? I don't think so. I think that they have to go, and they must go, to a running back. I think Ted Marchibroda needs to do it. That's what Bill Tobin wants to do. Take a look at 90, 91, 92, 93. Look at the yards per rush, and then look at the rankings. Disappointing in 93 when they drafted Potts last year. They expected more production. They didn't get it. Now I think the most important thing they can do is get themselves a football player who really doesn't need a lot of blocking. They invested the money in offensive linemen last year, a lot of trades, a lot of moves. Now all of a sudden they've got the running back who can create space and take a lot of pressure off of Jim Harbaugh. Remember, Harbaugh was Tobin's number 1 pick when he was in Chicago. I still think he wants to justify a little bit the fact that this kid can be his quarterback.
Now the card, Joe, has gone up to the commissioner, and we shall see if that's exactly what the phone call was for Marshall Faulk. I got to think so.
With the 2nd pick in the 1st round, the Indianapolis Colts select Marshall Faulk, running back, San Diego State. The Washington Redskins are now on the clock.
Well, Marshall Faulk, Mel, I mean, no doubt we've known about this young man from a couple of years ago. A lot of people thought he could come out even last year. Stayed in school, and explosion. Explosion is what the Colts need.
He's a great back, but Joe and I have been debating this for days, and I strongly disagree with this pick. And it's not any criticism at all of Marshall Faulk. The Colts have to come out of this draft with a quarterback, and if they don't, they're ripe for some criticism. Marshall Faulk, in his own right, is a great football player, a guy who can create his own opportunities running with the football. You see the electrifying ability he brings to an offense. Here he's out-racing a defensive back to the end zone. No question, his estimated speed throughout his career was 4.42, 4.45. He goes out 2 weeks before the draft and clocks a 4.33. That iced him as a possible number 2 pick in the draft. My point, though, and I know we can get into this a little bit, Joe, is that when you have an opportunity to get a franchise quarterback, you better take it, because running backs, a Ricky Waters was a 2nd-round pick, a Rodney Hampton was a late 1st. Last year, Ron Moore was a 4th-round pick. Everybody says, well, this is like Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith. You take the Emmitt Smith. Problem is, Troy Aikman was the 1st pick in the draft when he came out. Emmitt Smith was a 17th pick. The Colts have to take this opportunity, or else I guess they just believe that every year they're going to be picking 1, 2. So I guess we'll always have an opportunity to get a franchise quarterback.
Mel, I don't agree. I just don't agree with that. Not at all. I really feel like this was the perfect move for the Indianapolis Colts. As a quarterback, if you don't have a running game, you're dead. Just ask Jeff George. I think with Mikowski, I think with Harbaugh, they're stable enough at the quarterback position to be able to go ahead, make the investment in what could be the next Emmitt Smith or Barry Sanders or Thurman Thomas.
Well, let me see. It took about 12 minutes on the clock. Mel and Joe disagree. Marshall Faulk, consider this, though. He scored 21 touchdowns himself last year. The Colts have scored 24 rushing touchdowns in the 90s. I think you can understand why. The Redskins are... Oh, they're collector's items. I keep them. Marshall Faulk now going behind Dan Wilkinson. It's the first time in the draft that underclassmen have gone 1 and 2.